Why do companies pay so much money for consulting advice? I mean, we're talking almost $1 million a month for 5 people in a conference room to figure out what you should be doing with your business. But you don't need to spend $1 million a month to get access to that level of advice. I spent 6 years as a consultant in that exact same conference room. And so today I'm going to show you how I've trained ChatGPT to help me make my hard decisions for my small business. This is for you if you've got big decisions for your business, but you can't spend that kind of money on a consulting firm. These are decisions like how do you expand marketing channels? So like adding on socials, ads, SEO, or like how do you change your pricing to make more money per customer? Or how do you change your sales process so leads finally stop falling through the cracks? So how do we use AI to get McKinsey level results? Here's the 4-step method that we'll walk through today to turn your ChatGPT into an AI consultant. The first is we translate your needs into a business problem that your consultant can actually solve. Then we brief your AI consultant, ask the question you came up with, and then we'll challenge its thinking. Now, let's start with the first one. I'll show you how to turn your goals into a problem that your AI consultant can solve. Now, this is the part most business owners skip, but I promise you that this section alone will 10x your business. I mean, think back to the last meeting you were in that felt chaotic because nobody agreed with each other. It just feels like people have different points and they're just talking past each other. I mean, this happened all the time when we were in boardrooms. We'd fix this by asking just one question, which was, what problem are we solving for? And if you ask that question the next time things are chaotic, just watch what happens. Like the room's gonna go quiet for a sec and then everybody just realizes that they're solving different problems and then the meeting goes 100 times smoother from there. That's because most people assume that they're talking about the same problem, but it's not true at all. So to make sure that everybody, including ChatGPT, is aligned talking about the same problem, you're gonna have to define the problem at a level of depth that most people aren't used to. If not, ChatGPT is gonna assume the wrong things and just give you a bad recommendation. And as the leader, it's your role to focus everyone on the one problem that's gonna solve the biggest constraint to your business. So let's fix both this clarity problem and the priority problem with this one exercise. First thing you're gonna do is list the biggest goal. Then you're gonna list all the roadblocks that stop you from hitting that goal. And then we're gonna prioritize the roadblocks to find the one biggest thing. And so here's the formula for the problem statement. We can't hit goal because X reason. I'll give you 3 examples of this problem statement just to make sure it's like deep enough. We can't hit a revenue goal this quarter because our paid traffic is down. Our customers are leaving us more than usual because our delivery is slower than we promised. Or our profit is down 5% below target because our talent costs have doubled. And if you do that right, your AI consultant's gonna know exactly which problem we're solving. And so quick side note, how do you actually choose that one priority? Ask this one question. If you had to stop everything and there's only one thing you could do, which one would get you closest to your goal? Extreme questions like this are a cheat code that like force your brain to figure out stuff for you. And in 90% of cases, it's gonna work. But if you're doing 8 or 9 figures and you need to kind of model out this decision, just message me and I'm gonna send you the frameworks to make it happen. Okay, we figured out which problem will get you that outcome that you actually need. Now your AI consultant is gonna be clear in success. Let's get the AI consultant to solve it for us. Before I started any projects, I'd always get a project brief from the client. It had everything we needed to know to solve the problem. It was stuff like, hey, what's the problem we're solving? What has the client tried so far? What's the goal? Things like that. Plus any more context relevant to solving the problem. And so the problem you have is we give this level of context whenever we hire human consultants, but for some reason, we just don't get to this level of depth when we give context to ChatGPT. And then we get frustrated when we don't get the results we want. But here's the good news. Like it sounds complex and time consuming to make a brief, but when I got these, it was actually just a few slides that were thoughtful and then like a complete brain dump of anything they had on hand. So I'm gonna give you a template that makes AI build this for you right away. Like once you have it, you're gonna have the clarity on what direction you want to take your business in and show you where the problems are. So I'll show you how to make a strategy doc that you'll plug into AI so that it can actually help you make the decisions that will run your business. Now, this is part of my bigger guide on how to get your business running on autopilot. So let me show you where to grab it real quick. So if you're following along on YouTube, just go down to the description, click more, and then you have the systems guide to help you run your business on autopilot. Click here and it'll take you to a quiz. The quiz just helps me kind of figure out like which part of the business you're spending most of your time, you're wrestling with the most, because I have a lot of resources and I can just send you the right ones to like really get you going. So once you fill this out, you'll get the actual guide itself. And the part that we're focused on right now is the AI strategist. Right? How do you make the decisions that will get your business running? Now, there's a little overview on kind of like what systems are, all this kind of stuff. What we care about is the strategy resource down here. And so here's how you actually build your AI strategy advisor to make the decisions to run your business. So now there's two parts that we're going to plug into ChatGPT and have it spit out the questions on our business. The first is the context. So as you mentioned, like AI just like any consultant, it needs to understand the needs of your business, who your business is, what your business is, the goals of your business, and the problem you're wrestling with. If it doesn't have all this information, it will just give you bad recommendations. And the best part is the way this is structured, you can copy paste it in. And what I like to do, I'll show you, but what I like to do is I like to copy paste it in and then switch to my phone on voice mode and just kind of walk around my AirPods in, walk around the kitchen and have it ask me questions. And I get to kind of just talk to it like I have a real consultant that was just asking me questions about the business and challenging me, making me think so we can make the best decisions that move our business along. So great, let me show you real quick. So what's going on here is this context template. And so what I have this structured, you don't need to read this. This output will come out in ChatGPT, but the way that this is set up is you can click copy in the upper right, paste into ChatGPT, right? And you'll see, actually let me just send it and then I'll show you what happened. So in it, we have the context, which is I want you to be a McKinsey consultant. You're an expert advisor, you need to understand my business, the problem, and we're going to build a project brief together. The goal of this project brief is for ChatGPT to understand our needs. And the important thing, do not make anything up. We're going to ask them to leave placeholders for this section. And then I'm going to walk around my kitchen with my AirPods in and just have it ask me the placeholders that it's missing. So it's things like, what problem are we solving? What have we tried in the past to solve this problem? Right now, the problem could be a growth problem. It could be operations problem. Whatever the strategic challenge we're wrestling with, they'll help us here. What have you tried in the past? What capabilities do we already have? Now, capabilities are what team members do we have? What templates? What have we already built out or bought that we can use as a base to make our decisions? Okay. What are the constraints that we have? What about timelines, about the business? What other kind of relevant context can we include in the business? Great. So now it's already filled out everything that it knows based on our chat history, because ChatGPT has a great chat history. Other AIs have a different way of approaching that. Just message me if you have questions on that. But we're focused on ChatGPT right now. Now, what problem are we solving? It doesn't know because we haven't told it the problem yet, right? We'll tell it live in a bit. What have you tried so far? It doesn't know what the problem is, so it can't answer that yet. Okay. What do we have? What are our capabilities? So content, audience, systems, offers. Okay. So it knows it has a decent amount of understanding of who the business is. What are the constraints of the business? About the business, who's our target avatar? What offers do we have? Right? It already knows a lot about the business just from what we've been talking to it. Okay. Anything else? Boom. You click this button down here and it'll switch to voice mode and it'll ask you questions. Now, I've got my phone here, and if you have ChatGPT on your phone as well, it will sync to your computer and you can continue this conversation. And so now if you look here, right, so this is ChatGPT here. Click on the upper left and you've got the conversations. Click on the latest conversation that you have and boom, it's the exact same output that we have on our computer right here. Now, what you can do is you can click this voice button and we'll have a conversation with our AI consultant. Let's try it. Hey, chat, I need you to ask me questions about the placeholders that I've put into this outline. Let's fill this out together.
Absolutely. Let's fill in those blanks together. I'll keep it simple and direct. First, let's figure out the core goal and problem details. What's the goal you're aiming for in specific numbers? For example, maybe it's a revenue target or a certain number of clients placed. Why is this problem actually blocking that goal? In other words, what's the connection between the problem and not hitting the target? Where does the pain show up in the business? Are you seeing issues in metrics, customer experience, operations, or somewhere else?
Hey, chat,
How
sorry.
urgent?
Can you just ask me questions one at a time? Let's talk through this together.
Of course, let's take it step by step. We'll keep it nice and simple. So let's start with the first piece. What's the specific goal you're aiming for here? Like, is there a certain number of clients or a revenue target you have in mind?
I want to increase our revenue by 30K in the next 3 months.
Perfect. That's clear and straightforward. So the goal is to add 30K in revenue within the next 3 months. Now let's tackle
Sorry,
the
to
next
be
piece.
clear, I want to add 30K in recurring monthly revenue in the next 3 months.
Got it. That makes it even clearer. So the goal is to add 30K in recurring monthly revenue over the next 3 months. So let's move on to the next question.
Now, once you've spoken to ChatGPT and you answer all their questions, what you'll do is you'll go back here. You want a final version of these bullets that's just organized and clean, so you have a strategy doc for all future business decisions. And so what I have here is this other prompt that you also just copy paste into ChatGPT, and it'll just give you a clean, organized version of the strategy doc. Okay, now at this point, we're going to ask your consultant to actually solve your problems. In this section, I'm going to give you some consulting insider tips that are going to get you a 10x better outcome on your strategies. Because at this point, most people would ask ChatGPT, they'd say, hey, I have XYZ problem. How do I solve it? But if you ask ChatGPT a question like that, you're going to get the wrong answer. Because the definition of a strategic choice is one where you're deciding between a few great options. And so you need to understand the trade-offs with every option. So this way, you can actually make a good decision for your business. Because every single choice we make is a trade-off. And AI is not going to consider all the trade-offs unless we ask it to. Now, Charlie Munger has this quote I love. It says, if you don't see the world in trade-offs, you're a horse's patoot. AI is just amplified intelligence. And so the questions we ask it are the difference between 1,000x the result and a bad outcome. Let me read you this example prompt. Just type this into ChatGPT. I have XYZ problem. My goal is XYZ. Please deeply read and understand the business context I give you and answer these questions. 1. What options do I have to solve this problem? 2. What are the pros and cons of each option? 3. What risks do I have for choosing each option? 4. How can I create unfair advantages in each choice? 5. What are the impacts of my choice? And 6. Knowing my business context, what should I be asking you that I'm not? See how much deeper you'll understand the problem after these questions? For big problems that really have a big impact on your business, we need to understand it at this level so we don't get shocked by a bad outcome. Now, let's see how our AI consultant answers the questions we just asked. You can't just blindly accept what consultants tell you, because a lot of it is fluff. And no matter how much context you give it, they'll never have the same context that you have on your business. So you have to translate it to reality. Since I spent so long in the industry, I'm going to give you this cheat sheet to go through, so you can go through all the recommendations and cut out any that you think have red flags. And so here's the red flags they're going to tell you if the advice you get is bad. Red flag 1, you see a buzzword. Look for any buzzwords or vague words, because it's a hack to find bad consultants. Like, if they can't be specific, they have no idea what they're talking about. If you ask a consultant for an explanation and they reply with a buzzword, fire them immediately. Like, they have no idea what they're talking about. A good consultant will always say, it depends, and then break down the factors that it actually depends on. A bad consultant doesn't know enough about the problem to break down the details. AI will be the exact same. Look for buzzwords and ask it to be specific. If they reply with another generality or the specific example isn't relevant, just tell it to get rid of that logic immediately. Red flag number 2, fake complexity. So this Wall Street options trader turned philosopher, Nassim Taleb, he's got a quote that I love. I'm going to paraphrase it. Consultants are rewarded for solutions that look nice, but entrepreneurs are rewarded for solutions that are effective. So don't fall for this trick. The solution that looks the best tends to be super complex, but the best solutions are always the simplest ones. Just ask your AI consultant to simplify anything that looks too complex. Red flag 3. Advice doesn't translate to your reality. Think about it like this. Where does the advice actually break once it hits reality? Like, only you are going to know how your customers react. Like, what will happen with your business? Even after you feed the AI all that context up front, you still have the extra context that the AI consultant doesn't know. And so if you feed any new context, it'll automatically update the recommendations. Okay, 4, here's a bonus flag. Red flag number 4. You're not subscribed to my YouTube channel. I'm putting out tips every week on how to run your business on autopilot. I wouldn't want you to miss out. And we'd love your help to hit our goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Now, go back and forth with your AI consultant. Keep challenging the ideas with it until you've come up with a solution that's best for your business. If you're using this to make any big investment decisions, it's really important you actually talk to someone who's seen these problems before so they can keep challenging and keep asking the right questions. I'll leave my contact in the description if you want me to look at your output, or I can even point you to someone who can. At this point in the video, you've ended up with a few things. One is a strategy doc that you'll have for any big business decision in the future. 2, you've figured out the number one thing that's going to drive your business to actually hit your goals. For number 3, you've built an AI consultant that's going to help you give all the advice you need. And 4, you've learned to quickly figure out what makes someone's advice bad so you don't get taken advantage of in the future. Now, don't forget to grab your templates and frameworks in the description below. That way you can copy paste them to make your big business decision in the future. Click the link and you'll get a quick quiz to help me personalize these resources for you. See you in the next one.